It is 11 o'clock, so we are going to get started. And this is, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm just going to say, kind of go through the short version of our deal this morning. We are being sponsored today. Symposia Labs is putting on this Taking Christmas Digital seminar. We are hoping to help churches of all sizes get ready to plan Christmas, and it feels like it's in a minute, it feels like it's 4 months away. It's in a minute. We've got a couple of great sponsors today. We are sponsored by Baker Book House and the Colossian Forum. Baker Book House is a book publishing company that does a lot of great resources. We use them all the time at Central for our small group materials. So I would strongly encourage you work with them if you need books and things along those lines for your small groups or staff development. And then we really love the Colossian Forum. That is, oh, and I have a slide, sorry. We love the Colossian Forum that is right here, today's sponsor, Colossian Forum, that also has small group materials. And actually what I want to highlight for the Colossian Forum and what I'm most excited for them this season is they have a small group curriculum for talking about politics. So if you are at a smaller church and you're like, okay, fall kickoff is coming or fall is coming and we need something to happen and I need it to happen like tomorrow and I don't have time to really do a ton of research, jump on over to the Colossian Forum and we will, they can help you kind of get a small group curriculum set up that is very timely and relevant. I would highly, highly recommend it. So we are in session 2, getting the word out. Promoting Christmas in the digital age. So promotion at Central has always looked a lot like handing out invite cards, which are great, but they don't work great in this season. And we are going to hear from 2 people today, but we're going to hear about it a little different. So we're going to hear from Jessica Behrens first. We're going to dig deep into social media and online ministry. And then I actually interviewed Kathy Craig last week, and we're going to share that interview with you today. Kathy and I talked a lot about personas and brand and how that marketing is helpful to you and your church. So you're going to want to catch both of those conversations, which are a little bit different, but both talking about how we're going to take this digital in the coming age. And I think I just put those slides up and then you just watched me talk. I'm pretty sure that that's what happened because tech. Awesome. So I'll hear about that later. And this is what happens in digital world. Stuff happens and we just kind of roll with it. So
just blame it on Zoom. They're having issues. The Zoom didn't work.
Oh, that was terrifying yesterday. That was terrifying. All right, Jess. So you and I we're friends, so we'll put that out of the way first. But tell us a little bit about what it is that you do at Central as the digital marketing manager at Central.
Sure. So like Ann said, I primarily work for Central, but we are also part of a family of churches. So I am on a comms team of 2.5 people who help with marketing strategy for churches all the way down to like a couple hundred people, all the way to like 3,000, normally pre-COVID. That's a caveat. But so it's so fun to be able to have different marketing strategies for all of them, but I get to oversee social media, make sure that with our third-party design agency that websites are handled really well, talk about apps, podcasts, all of the different things that digital gets spread out. So that's what I get to do. It's really fun.
Yeah. So you've done this for a couple of years now. So you've worked with, obviously you said different churches of different sizes. Walk me through a marketing plan. And obviously we heard from some of our participants are from smaller churches. Talk to me about a marketing plan for promoting specifically Christmas. What should I be doing to promote Christmas?
Yeah, so I love seeing the word rural in there because I think that the first thing that comes to my head is I know this is all about being digital, and what we really want to do is we want to go where the people are. So I'm sure you've heard that before, like, oh, go to social media where the people are. But one thing I want to say before we dive fully into social media is make sure that in your community, I'm sure you're already, if you're in a rural area, you're involved in some sort of way outside of your church walls, but to make sure that you're being intentional with just making people feel loved before you give them a message. So what I would say for Christmas specifically is if there's anything that you're doing and to be in the community, whether that's really local or if it's on a larger scale, is not, we don't want to like, oh, look at all these amazing things we did, but do things that make people want to talk about it. even in your series, have a series or a topic for Christmas that's going to make someone either think about it, want to tell their friends about it, want to tell their uncle or their aunt who doesn't know Jesus, but hey, no, this would be really fun for you to be into, and there's going to be something for you. That's my biggest thing. And just remembering the rule of 7 is my favorite rule to remember, that people need to hear something up to like usually about 7 times before they actually want to take action on it. So, and it's not always like a, hey, sign up for this or come to our Christmas program. It's, hey, we're a church. Hey, we do these things. Hey, like we're located over here and we're online. Oh, and we love our community in this way. Oh, and we have this Christmas thing, you should come. And so just being really intentional with what are at least 7 different times and ways you're going to be communicating what you have going on for Christmas in lots of different ways.
Excellent. So
biggest thing.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you say it's not just about making sure I've got ads on Facebook, but we're going to talk about that in a minute, but it's a matter of what I'm saying and being really intentional with that.
Yeah. So we all know that we're emotional beings. And so if your ad is cold and says, we have a Christmas program, join us. Also, stop saying join us. Everybody right now, for Christmas, do not say join us for Christmas at fill in the blank church. It doesn't evoke any emotion. Come celebrate, come do this, like to be able to have emotion involved in it. And like I said, to not always have it be about taking an action, but just, I think one of the most powerful things that we do every year is we share stories around Christmas time that are just showing about how Jesus is moving. We have even little quote graphics that you can do on Canva for free that are just like Christmas carols or things that people feel emotion when they hear that. And then they see your name next to it, and then that starts to create that emotional connection to you and your church. So, yeah.
Excellent. So let's talk. So that's all feels really good. But here's the questions we get the most is how do I do this? And I don't have time. And okay. So I am, one of the many people on this call right now who has, I'm a lone staff person. I'm on my own. Where do I start? Facebook? What? Where do I go? What should I be doing? Facebook? Should I be doing Instagram? What about Snapchat? Everyone's talking about TikTok. Should I be doing all of the things? Talk to me, Jess. Where do I start with social media?
Oh my goodness, please don't do all of the things, especially if one thing feels daunting. I would say it really depends on your demographic. So I know it's really easy as a church to say, of course, we want to reach everybody. How do we reach everybody? But if you really want to reach everybody, you kind of need to narrow in where you're shooting your arrows, shoot for one spot, and sometimes you're going to miss a few, you're going to get other people outside of that. But I would say if your church is a little bit on the older side, embrace that and say, we want to grow younger, but we also want to love for people who are, empty nesters, and what are you doing for that? But as far as starting, I would say a really good place is Instagram and Facebook. It sounds like 2, but if you kind of cheat a little, if you post onto Instagram, you can send it right to Facebook. It's not always the best long-term strategy, but at least then you can be reaching people who are on each platform. It's always good to have separate things on there, but to get started, I would say sign up for an Instagram, sign up for Facebook, make sure that you have them linked so that you can send things directly, and start asking around. And I'm sure that there's someone in your church who's either a photographer or someone who's just good at writing or good with even just grammar. If they're good at grammar, they can get you a good start. Have them just kind of talk about, hey, these are our goals. We want to be able to reach people online. Are you interested in helping us share the best news that we have to share? And I'm sure you would be surprised at how many people would be willing to help you with that, even if it's just as a volunteer position. I know for one of our smaller churches, we have, I think, 4 people on the social media team, and they're all just like, hey, I'm going to be posting on this day. It's not always perfect in all the things, but they have a little calendar that they're like, hey, I'll take over on this. I will make sure I'm promoting this. And so to have that team feeling, even if you can't afford to hire somebody, if your church has even just 1 or 2 people that you could tap shoulders and say, would you be willing to help? I think that's going to go a really long way for just getting started.
Yeah. So Jess, so we start with the social media and we get there, and I don't have a graphic designer. So should I be how do I get graphics, or should I be posting something different on social media and not?
So first things first, never, ever, ever, ever Google church picture and take that and use it on your social media. Don't use clip art. One thing that I think people forget a lot of times is we have these phones that take really excellent pictures. And so take pictures of, I know we don't do invite cards right now, but take pictures of like a poster, take pictures of your pews, take pictures of your pastor and say, Pastor Joe is inviting you to X, Y, and Z. And beyond that, do videos. The algorithm for every social media platform, and we know TikTok is all video. People are engaging so much more with that. You can feel so much more emotion when you feel like you're talking with somebody. So start getting your pastor comfortable. They're already speaking on stage on a Sunday. Get them comfortable holding their phone or getting a tripod that they can just do a quick little, hey, my name is this, and I hope to see you on Sunday, or whatever that message is. But like I said earlier, there are tons of free tools out there. If you're wanting to have something that has a little bit more of like a design, or if you need like series artwork, there's Canva, which is incredible. Their whole mission is to get people, anyone to be able to have graphic design. So it's a really good place to start. And there's tons of photo editors that are free online, and even apps on your phone. So lots of ways to start, but real pictures and videos are gonna go the furthest if you have the littlest amount of time.
So I get this question the most. How often should I be posting on social media? This is literally, if I could like say, so let's stay focused on Christmas. So I'm promoting my Christmas event.
Yep.
I mean, isn't it best to like post every single day about Christmas so that everyone sees it?
No, you would think, right? You would think I need to post every single day, and I need to post all of the things, and I need to keep telling people about Christmas. She just said you need to tell people 7 times before. But the thing that's really important with Christmas is people already kind of, in America right now, and this is shifting, but they already have in the back of their head, I should go to church. There's like this little, right now, there's this little like guilt thing about Christmas. So for a lot of people, what you need to be able to do on social media is explain what your church is like. So whether someone is already interested in coming to church or they want nothing to do with church, saying come to our Christmas program isn't going to be the best bet. It's going to be sharing real pictures of what church looks like on a Sunday morning so someone can see what to expect. But then like sprinkle in those like the Christmas like sayings, and like do a little, like if you have a worship team or even just one person on a guitar, do a little Christmas carol and post that. And if you have series artwork, of course you can post about that. Usually for Christmas, when we get up to like close to after Thanksgiving, between Christmas, my rule of thumb is, okay, we're talking about Christmas program once a week, but we're kind of masking it in a few other things. And then as we get closer, it's a little bit more of that direct, no, we have this thing, but you've been hearing from us for a while that this is what you can expect, this is what you can see, this is what we're talking about. And they're just kind of slowly leaking that all out. So it's not just out the gate, come to Christmas every single day, because people are just gonna start tuning it out. So as many different ways as you can say similar things in different ways, it's going to help your reach a lot. And I do want to like point out one thing. A few years ago, it was all the rage to say, oh, these are the specific times you should be posting. Just so everyone knows, like, breathe. Like, that doesn't actually matter anymore. Facebook doesn't care if you post right at the time everyone's online. It's going to show people what they think they want to see. So that's where those pictures and videos and things like that, it's more about the engagement that you can have than the time of day. I've accidentally posted things, don't tell anybody this, but at 10 p.m. And it went really well because it was a video testimony and it got shared like a bunch the next day. And I just want to say that as far as timing, it doesn't really matter, but frequency, I would say a few times a week, just with different messages invoking that when you get close to Thanksgiving. Sorry,
Awesome.
I was long-winded.
No, that's great. Talk to me about, you talk about video. Talk to me about the different videos. I'm sure some of our folks are probably like, oh my gosh, like video, there's no way. But talk to me about some of the types of videos that a bigger church can use, but then also a smaller church can use. I mean, we do have 2 different audiences here. So what would that look like?
Yeah, I'll start with the smaller church. One of the most effective videos we do every single week at one of our churches, that's about 300 people weekly. Again, pre-COVID, I don't really know what it is right now. It's kind of, they're everywhere. But is every Friday, they have someone either on staff or in a leadership team, and they just pop on. It's literally 45 seconds or less, and they just say like, we can't wait to see you on Sunday. Here's a quick sneak peek at what we're talking about. We have coffee, or whatever that like extra thing is that would draw somebody in. And you would think, oh, you're saying the same thing a lot. But people just love seeing, especially people that they know. People, a lot of times it's our worship pastor or it's like our groups person. And it's just to be able to see, hey, I know them. It kind of makes them stop and say, what is this? They're really easy to share. So that's a really good thing. And those are just done on phones. So it's just a quick, they might do it a few times to get the right take, but that's something that I would say is a really good starting place. And then if you have a little bit of that extra equipment and you have time to do a little bit more editing, it can be really fun to have not the same style announcements that you have on Sunday, but like really, really short, quick announcements for different things coming up. So if you have Christmas, let's say you have your Christmas program and you have Christmas Eve, and they're two different things, to be able to have a quick, like a little announcement thing from the pastor or from someone who the church can feel like they trust, they're going to want to share that more with their friends. And then the biggest thing is any church of any size can do this, but it's those testimonies and the stories of this is how Jesus is working right now. You can do that on a phone. You can do that on a $5,000 camera, and they're still going to provoke the same level of emotion. Whether you have been following Jesus for 30 years or you're like, who is Jesus? But you still can, you see that how they're working in their life. And I do want to say one more thing. Sorry, I know I answer really long, but one of the most powerful things that we've been realizing lately is it's so easy when you're wanting to do testimony videos to say, we have to find the best, most epic story, and they have to have come from like the streets, and then they had this magical moment, and like some people of course are going to resonate with that and they're going to see themselves in that, but it's really important to be able to have a whole gamut of stories where anyone sitting in the building would be able to see themselves in a piece of the story. So being able to share, I kind of was raised in the church, but I didn't actually take that into my own until recently, and here's how Jesus is working, is a huge way to get those people in your community who were like, okay, well, I don't have this dramatic story. My life's doing pretty good. Do I really need Jesus? For them to be able to start having that heartfelt emotion of, oh, maybe I do feel a little bit of emptiness here. What is this all about? And it's just a really, really good entry point for just the Jesus conversation.
So I'm hearing you say it can be simple, it can be easily done, and stories for the win.
Stories over and over. Like, people will never, ever get sick of hearing stories, especially if people right in your context who are having Jesus change their lives. Yeah.
Becca is asking a great question in the chat, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out here because we're focused so heavily on social media. But she wants to know, and this is a question we wrestle with at Central all the time, is how do I reach older generation that is not on Facebook? But how do I approach sharing Christmas information with them?
Yes. Okay. So it is hard. And I will say that every area is going to have its own different like niche of the best way to be able to reach your people. But I do want to say, one, not every person in that demographic in your church isn't on Facebook. So really be leaning into being able to have those people have things that they want to share with their friends, because people who aren't on Facebook, especially in that older age demographic, they're on the phone with their friends. They're actually seeing their friends, outside. They're hanging out outside in lawn chairs 6 feet apart right now. Like, they are really in community. And we've found that in so many different surveys we've been looking at. So to be able to, one, reach people who are in that demographic and be able to have things that they want to share with their friends is a really good start if you don't have a whole lot of other resources. But I will say a phone is totally digital, and to be able to pick up and call someone and say, we always make the joke, like, there's always that person who's going to keep like spreading things around. Like, call like those like 5 people in your church and say like, hey, and if you know anyone who needs to hear about this, like, be sure to let them know, and like say that out loud. Like, I think sometimes in the church marketing, we don't like the word marketing anyway, but we don't like to be able to say like, hey, can you help us spread the word about this? We feel like we need to shoulder all of that on us. But grab those people who are in your church who are already connected with people, whether that's on their phones or what that looks like, and just say, hey, we have this Christmas coming up. I want to make sure, like, do you know all the details? And do you know anyone who needs to know about this still? And to really lean into that. So I think phone calls and just really leaning into the people in your church who, if you're really trying to reach them, and then be able to say like, and if you know anybody, or if you want to share this with your kids, like, and then tell them, hey, we are on these other places, and just like equip your congregation to know the answer to those things if their grandkids are asking, or if their kids are asking. And that's just, word of mouth is the most powerful tool that we have. So like, just really to lean into that is super important, especially nowadays.
Awesome. And guys, you can see we're going to answer these questions. If you have more, put them in the chat. But the next thing I want to ask about, Jess, I want to know, so social media, you had said something that surprised me when we had a conversation previously. Like Facebook's always telling me to boost my posts. Is that how I should be doing my ads?
Guys, we're going to have a real talk really quick. I'm looking right into the camera. Please, if you can help it, don't hit the magical boost button. It's so tempting. And it got me when it first came out. I think it came out like 6 years ago. And Facebook was so smart. They're like, we're just going to get them to hit boost. But really quick, let me just say the difference and what you should be doing. So really quick, the boost button, what that does is it says, oh, you want to like reach the same people that you're already reaching with the exact same message, with the exact same post. So you're just taking post A and you're saying, yeah, just like show it to a couple more people. So you get a little bit of a bubble. But Facebook has a free tool that is their Facebook Ads Manager. And obviously you have to pay to have an ad, but in there you get A/B testing, which is like where you can test multiple types of ads with the same budget. It's going to automatically have placements. And like, you know, when you're scrolling through Marketplace, you're looking for a good deal on a coffee table, you'll get to pop up in there. A Boost doesn't do that. It has like, I think 20 different placements when you're in ads. And this is the biggest part that's like, why wouldn't you do it this way, is you can change the different type of graphics for different. So like if you're going through stories, you can pick, I want a story size for this type of ad. I want a banner size for this type. But besides that, you get to pick up to like, I think it's like 7 different descriptions of like the caption that people will see. So if you're really wanting to reach lots of different people with the same ad and with the same budget, I would really recommend trying it out. It sounds a little intimidating to say, oh, use the Facebook Ads Manager, but it's only a few more clicks outside of the boost button. And one more thing, sorry, it's my favorite thing. You get super, super specific demographics. So when you hit boost, you can kind of pick a few things like, oh, men, women, age, location. But in the ads manager, you can type in things that they might be interested in. So one of my favorite things is for our kids program, we always do a really fun thing for them at Christmas. And we have a specific ad for them and we type in there, parents of 0 to 2, parents of this. And like Facebook doesn't always get it 100%, but it's going to say, I'm guessing based on things that they like and things that they talk about, they're probably a parent or they know lots of parents. So please don't hit the boost button. Take one extra step, go into ads.facebook and just type in a few of the extra things, and I promise you will get a lot more return on that. And I know what you're going to ask next. You're going to ask really quick. You're going to say, well, then how much money do I spend on it?
Absolutely, I'm going to ask that.
So that's the question that I get all year about everything. But so for Christmas specifically, first thing I would say is whether you're a budget of like a couple $1,000s a year for the whole church or like $1 million budget, use what you're allowed to have. So when you go to leadership and say, hey, like, here's what I'd like to do, give them the why. We want to be able to reach outside of people who aren't necessarily connected to our church. We want to be able to connect with all of them. And based on your own budget, you can kind of know how much you want to spend on that. I would say of a church of a couple hundred, honestly, we normally just use like between $100 and $200 total for Christmas, and that's going from Thanksgiving until Christmas. But the more important thing than the actual number you use, split it up. So always, if you're going to use the Facebook Ads Manager, do the extra step of doing an A/B test, because you can take the same $22, which by the way is the minimum. People ask me that too. You can run an ad for a minimum of $22. You can take that and just have it go for one type of description and one picture, or you can like say, okay, these are the different variations I want to show. And so that, yeah, sorry, that was, but the price is just work with what you have. Whatever your leadership offers you, you can always offer, hey, I want this much. And if they say, whoa, you can have X, work with it. If you ask for a certain amount and they give you more, work with it. You can do so much with so little. The lowest ad I think we've ran is $22, and it's reached hundreds of people. It was for a Christmas event, and it reached a bunch of people. We were very specific with our demographics. We wanted only people within walking distance to the church. We wanted only women because they're more likely to drag their whole family to church. Like, that's where what you're picking for that ad is so much more than the money that you're spending on it. And so just really think about who you're wanting to reach, what they're interested in, roughly how old they are. And even if Facebook's going to kind of like do what it needs to do, but if you can tell it, this is who I want to reach, you can spend $22 or $3,000 and you're going to have a successful campaign.
Now, Facebook isn't the only place where I should be advertising this, right? Are there other ways that I can be advertising my Christmas experience beyond social media? Because this also speaks to Becca's question. I mean, like there are people who are online,
Yeah.
even if they're not on social media.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so if you don't know, which I'm realizing not as many people as I thought know, but if you are a nonprofit and you have your nonprofit status, Google has what they call the Google Ad Grant Program for nonprofits, and they give you 10 grand a month to spend on Google Ads. So it's a little tedious to set it up, but I would definitely say if you're going to be doing all this digital stuff and if you're going to be diving in, start on social media, but if you have margin, dive into this Google Ads program. It's a free way to be able to advertise your church in so many different ways outside of Christmas. But yes, we always do like a big main one for our church. And then we do a little subcategory of saying, okay, we want to siphon this amount of money just from people to search for Christmas program or things like that. But definitely there are ways to be outside of social media, but still online.
yeah. So we don't have a ton of your time left. You've shared so much
I know, I'm sorry.
helpful things. No, that's great. We did have another question from Becca, just really, really fast. Where do you get your information, your research about, you've mentioned some things like, women take kids to church or like how did you learn about the demographics for your area? How do you do that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is we do an annual church survey at all of our churches every year, just asking, age, all of a bunch of different things, asking whether you've been attending for how long. So have you been here for 7 years or more? Have you been here just for a few months? And then if you have been here for within a certain amount of time, we'll say, well, what was the most influential thing to get you here? And really quick, outside of that, everyone almost always says I was personally invited by somebody, whether that's a staff member or a family member or a friend or whatever. So our own data is super helpful because it's our people. We try to do it on a busy Sunday where we can anticipate the most amount of people coming. We send it out to our online campus. But there are so many resources. My mind is like having a Tuesday moment. But I know that like Barnabas Ministries, like they send out so much data and you can get really specific. And then on Facebook too and Instagram, you have access to tons of analytics about your people. Where you can even see, like, I know for us, we have 70% of the people who interact with our Facebook page are women. So it's helpful to know even like who you're mainly reaching, even just organically. And you have the same thing on Google. If you have Google Analytics set up, you can see what devices they're looking at, and you can see probably how old they are. Some people hide all of that information, but there's a lot of ways you can get really, really local research with your own things, or just to look on like even a national or state level. If you look it up, there are tons of different studies that other people have spent their time on that if you'd rather just look it up, you can do it that way too.
And I would say, Becca, also check out the US Census. I was just doing some research for a church that I'm helping with, and they have incredible information about people's self-described religious affiliations and demographics. You can income information so you can kind of understand the community that you're working with. Just understanding Facebook, your community, and doing research on the people in your community, which is something that we talk a little bit with Kathy Craig about. So you'll want to stick around and listen.
She's amazing, guys. Don't miss Kathy. She's like who I want to be in every lifetime because she's so great.
Yeah. Could we get, Dan is wanting to know if we could get the questionnaire that you do with the churches. Dan, you know what? I will make sure that we find a way to get that to you. Dan, if you could email me at achansky@centralholland.org, we will send that out to you. I don't know if everyone wants to see our survey, but we will make sure, Dan, that we get that survey information to you. It's very specific to the church, I would say. So you'll want to think about what kind of survey questions you want to do. And we can talk more about that. Dan, I want to talk more about that, but let's talk can I have like 5 extra minutes just for you to share with us, or 1 minute, share with us one best practice, because we talked a lot last session about online. All the stuff is going to be online. And you oversee our online campus. And I know we could do like a whole nother hour on this.
I want to, it's so fun.
I know, online is so good. And so maybe we'll just have to we're doing a video podcast for taking church digital. So maybe we'll have to have you as a panelist on that here soon. But give me just like one thing that we should be doing this Christmas to engage our online audience. Just one thing.
I'm trying to think how I can squeeze like 8 things into one sentence, but it's
Of
not
course.
working. So, okay, I'm going to go with my gut. And my gut is you were probably doing some sort of church online for Christmas, because not everyone's going to be comfortable yet. It's still awkward to feel like, I'm going to invite you to come to this public space and we're going to sing songs out loud without, all of that. But I would say the biggest thing you can do for your church online, especially around Christmas, is make sure you have someone, whether that's staff or volunteer, who's looking at the comment section on wherever you're streaming. So whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube or on church online platform, make sure that there's someone who's not only just responding to things, but also provoking engagement. And the asterisk, because it's still connected, is even to have your people who are on the stage to be acknowledging online. That is huge. When you feel like the pastor is looking at you and they're saying, we are so glad that you're here in your couch or on your, wherever you're at, just really acknowledging that they're there and that they are also important and loved and that they can engage in this is the biggest thing that I would say for this season and for Christmas. And in any creative ways that you can engage them in their homes, giving them time to talk about their favorite Christmas carol or favorite Christmas memory it's way more powerful than it sounds. And it just makes them feel like special, even if they can't come in. So, yeah.
Excellent. I would just say thank you so much, Jessica, for your time and for sharing with us. And if you have more questions, it looks like Tim was kind enough to stick my email right there in the chat. Shoot me an email. We would love to help you more. And then I would also say, when it comes to social media and ad stuff, you're not alone. There are, Symposia, and there are lots of other companies out there, but I would say, reach out to us. We can help you find somebody who can help you with that. Because I would say, Jessica, you benefited a lot from support and learning.
Podcasts and Facebook groups and realizing, I'm not the only one who feels overwhelmed and stressed. And yeah.
So the big question we're always asking, and this is the last one, and I'll let you go, but is, all right, so you get off this call, you get off this seminar, what's the one thing you want people to do when they, at 1:05 today, do one thing?
Yeah, take a video and post it on social media and see how many more people it reaches than
there it is.
Any of your other posts in the last week. I don't care what it is, whether it's an announcement or a happy Tuesday, we hope you're having a good day, let us know how we can pray for you, whatever it is, go take a video on your phone. And I promise, without putting any money towards it, you will be able to see how many more people you're able to reach in that way.
Yeah, and if you definitely find me on Facebook, Ann Chansky, and add me to that. I'll share your videos, so that'll kind of help that too. But I want to see all of these great videos today. I want to see you guys step it up on that and do those videos. Yes. So thank you so much, Jessica. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love you. You guys are my people.
Yeah, we're going to have you come back and talk about sometime between now and Christmas. I think we'll have to have you on the podcast.
Church Online.
Yes. So let's talk Church Online on the podcast. So keep checking your email for Symposia Labs, and we'll get Jess on the podcast and talk more Church Online. So thank you so much.
So much. Bye.
So we're going to transition now to my interview with Kathy Craig. And so this will allow you to, after this, we will have time for coffee break again. But this is definitely one that you're not going to want to miss. And I'm just going to pull up my video and look at my lovely screen capture there. See, it just happens. Very exciting. So here we go. I have with me Kathy Craig, who is a friend of mine from a season in ministry we did together in Southwest Michigan. I keep wanting to say Southeast Michigan, but we're here in Southwest Michigan. And Kathy, tell us a little bit about what you do in your day job, but also tell us a little bit about your ministry. So what is it that you fill your time with these days?
Yeah, thanks, Ann. And it's fun to be here, so thank you for inviting me. I serve in corporate communications for Whirlpool Corporation. I lead our global interactive team, and basically overseeing all of our global websites, videos, all digital experience, etc. And actually, prior to this role, which I absolutely love, I led the creative team in marketing, specifically for one of our Whirlpool brands, which is KitchenAid. So I'm able to just I've in my experience at Whirlpool Corporation, I've had my feet in both marketing and communications.
And that's your day job, but you're also a pastor. I mean, you've been a bivocational pastor for a long time. So tell me a little bit about where you've ministered and what that ministry has looked like.
Correct, because I always felt that God wanted me in the workplace. As I was going through seminary, I was really thinking that I was going to be full-time vocational, but God had other plans for me. So bivocational, co-vocational, I have served in both areas, in both the secular world and in the church. So I served on pastoral staff at one of the network churches, part of Water's Edge Network, which is Overflow, and primarily as discipleship pastor. That's where my heart is, but I have held roles in the church as a communications lead, headed up all our marketing plans prior to the church joining the network, served as a mobilization pastor, outreach, engagement, a number of different areas.
Yeah,
So,
you're just a wealth. So that's where you and I met, is when we were working in, the digital communication and actually just overall communication and marketing for Overflow as it related to the network and stuff like that. But man, have been such a mentor to me in spiritual formation. So thank you so much for all of your.
As soon as I met you, I remember just telling your lead pastor, like, I want to hire her.
You're so sweet. Oh my God. Okay. So moving on. So one of the things, Kathy, that you and I have talked a lot about is in that time when we worked together is like traditional marketing in the church. Is there a place in the church world for a traditional marketing model? Like, is marketing like a dirty word or something that we should be avoiding?
No, absolutely not. I believe marketing works. I've seen it work. And I don't want to say works, but it really does lead people to Christ. And so I think absolutely we should not shun traditional marketing. I know there have been arguments about leaving room for the Holy Spirit. 100%. Invite the Holy Spirit into your marketing plan first and foremost. But I believe if you're strategic, you completely understand your audience, you're able to best speak to that person and really target who that audience is. Even if you have to break it into maybe 3 people, personas, and speak their language, you can then use traditional marketing and effectively measure both cause and effect. So if you utilize a certain venue or a certain channel for your marketing, you can measure that to see how many people actually draw that in, and how many people actually gave their lives to Christ. I've seen it work in amazing ways.
Yeah. So talk to me, like when you said the word channel, when we talk about channel in marketing, what are we talking about there? What would a channel be for a church that a pastor should consider using?
Yeah, well, it could be anything from the very, very traditional marketing. I mean, I know churches have utilized newspapers in the past.
Right.
Now,
we've done newspaper ads every Christmas. We do newspaper ads.
Yeah. Are they effective? And I think we also need to look at that too. How effective are they now? What is the audience reach in the newspaper? And are those the people that you want to speak to?
Exactly.
If you really want to attract young audience, probably not the traditional route. Don't spend your money there, but look at where are these people gathering? Where are they getting their information from? And then look at those channels. So if it's social media, what social media platforms are they on? If you have a smaller, closed community, even will billboards be effective for that? Direct mail. I know everybody. Well, I'm not sure now with the threat of the post.
I know all that drama, right?
But nonetheless, I mean, I know with COVID, part of my huge day, because I work from home every day now, is going out to the mailbox to see what's out there.
So I never thought about that. Yeah.
So you know what? Is it wise to bring back direct mail? Because I think that even could be effective today. I think a lot of the traditional routes that we've taken, we just need to put them all on the table and say, what do we need to throw away, and what do we need to maybe resurrect too.
Yeah. So we're thinking we're thinking right now in this season, hopefully churches are thinking about Christmas. What are some ways that you would recommend churches consider marketing their Christmas services this year? Should they even market their Christmas services? I mean, shouldn't it just be as simple as, I'm just going to throw my service times up on my website and people will come?
Yeah, no. No, now more than ever, because I mean, look at how much society has changed, right? I would say persistent uncertainty has just produced a lot of like we hear it all the time, unprecedented times, an unprecedented degree of behavior change, right? So, I mean, I think we really need to look at how humanity has basically both collectively and simultaneously just experienced a whole disruption to their health, to the economy, to politics, society of just extraordinary proportions.
Yeah.
So I would say don't rely all completely on what you did last year, because people are just different now. They've changed. So I would say, like, meet with them where they are. People are really hungry for a sense of clarity. They are craving community, but they also want safety and they want trust. So how do you, as a traditional institution, rebuild that confidence and credibility at the same time, but then tap into maybe those former Christmas memories where they had Christmas traditions, maybe safety, love. I think particularly, in my opinion, I could be wrong, that this year Christmas is just calling us back to basics in a very hyper-connected world. And how do you best do that?
And you mentioned the word traditional church in that answer, Kathy, and I know that you've been thinking during especially this COVID season about how church might look different in this season. So what are some of the things that you are exploring as a pastor, as a community member, as a business person who follows Jesus? How do you see church changing in this season?
Yeah, I think we have to go smaller instead of going larger, honestly. And then, so if you're looking at your marketing plan, start thinking about, maybe do you start incorporate opportunities for smaller gatherings? Do you start incorporating now, like today or in the fall at least, a small group strategy into your Christmas marketing plan?
That is such an interesting idea. At my church, I oversee small groups. And so I've never thought about it until you just said that now. And here I am conducting the interview, but I've never thought about advertising small groups almost out in the community before I advertise my Sunday services.
Yeah, and then prepare your small groups, particularly for what that Christmas celebration might look like in smaller communities, because that is, they want community. So if even if there are stay-at-home orders in your state or anything along those lines, can you invite 10 people into your home to celebrate Christmas together? Then how does the church support that in some ways?
What a great...
I don't have the answers. These are just all questions that have been
mulling
in my head.
Yeah, one of the reasons we're having this conversation in August, right, about Christmas, like, I know there's definitely some people who thought I was crazy, and I was like, no, we got to be thinking about Christmas now if we want to have an effective Christmas ministry in December, even if things change.
Absolutely.
Between now and December. I know our team met to start discussing Christmas second week of August. They had their first meeting, and I know our team was like, oh, that's so late, but they even felt that was late. Like, that's how we try to think really ahead and plan ahead so that we can do some of those creative things and process these questions.
Yeah.
You said one other thing that I want to dig into in this time, Kathy. You talked about personas. So I hear this all the time in the church world. I want to reach everyone. I just want to reach everyone. And we do want to reach everyone. We want to make disciples of all nations, right? That is our call. But in the marketing world, we talk a little bit more about target groups, target marketing, demographics, those kinds of things. Talk to me about this persona concept. Why is that important? Why is it important to know who you're talking to?
Yeah, it's hugely important. Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. And in the marketing world, yeah, it's pretty typical to define your audience, but even to, I would say, drill down, not just gender, where they live, but really understand who they are, what excites them, what are their pain points, what are their barriers to coming to church, what are, you can even get so specific as defining that persona down to what do they like to eat, what do they do after dinner, what is their family like, or even what does their Sunday morning look like if you are trying to drive them into your Sunday morning service. How, what is there chaos there? Is there not? So really understand their age. I mean, you need to very, very specifically, when you're targeting personas, to speak their language and know their language completely. I often, when I'm writing any marketing messages, I will actually write to one person. And then, of course, when it's cast into a broader channel,
Right.
It will reach a lot more people. But if I can speak to a voice to one specific person, I find that my marketing is a lot more effective.
So if I'm, say, creating Facebook ads, which I would encourage churches to do, full disclosure, when I was communications director at Central, we killed the newspaper ads. We did do it for a long time, but we killed the newspaper ads and directed all of that energy and that money to Facebook ads. So if I'm writing a Facebook ad, I'm writing it to a particular person in my head. That might look different than just, hey, our service times are da 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 da. Show up. It'll be great. I'm asking questions that maybe they're asking, or I'm trying to meet a need that they might have. Am I hearing that?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So
we followed the same suit in the secular world too, in secular business. We stopped all traditional print advertising and put it all online.
Yeah. And it can be a little scary, but it doesn't have to be hard. There are people there.
No. And it's funny because even up to 5 years ago, our lead pastor here, so we serve a very diverse and economically diverse population. And we had actually some not arguments, but just some
conversations,
strong discussions, let's say, on how important it is or how not important it is to put all our efforts into digital marketing, because the argument at the time was, and this was, I would say, even just as few as 5 to 7 years ago, well, not everybody has access to computers.
Right.
But you know what? Everybody else does have access to smartphones. Right. They do. So, okay, there are a few with flip phones, but
they're just as expensive as smartphones anymore. I mean,
they are.
I've tried.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say it's fair to say the majority of your people have access to digital advertising, and you can even take Google ads, or even specifically mobile phone ads. You can target your audience there. So,
well, and that actually just a good point to remember is that when we're doing our marketing, if most people are accessing things like our website and social media on our phones,
yes.
I know that's one of the biggest things my team has to discipline ourselves for. We just did the sign up and I'm like, all right, but check it. Is it easy to use on my phone?
Yes.
How much am I going to have to type versus how many things can I just click if I'm signing up for a small group or doing something like that? And we're really excited. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to use text messaging to sign up for small groups for the first time.
Excellent. Well done. Yes.
That'll be a lot of fun. We'll see how that works. We'll have to circle back in October and tell everybody how that goes.
Can't wait to hear. Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah. All right. So let's close this out. I have one final question for you, Kathy, because I want to leave our audience with, if they go forth from this place and do one thing right now to just do one thing, what would that be? What would you say that one thing needs to be?
Know who you are. And I have to add an and then who you want to engage with.
I love it.
And know yourself well and know them well. Don't necessarily tell your message, but come from the perspective, what does your audience need to hear?
Yes.
And
I
how
love
can you serve them from that perspective?
And that doesn't have to be like somebody might feel that process is overwhelming if they're an overwhelmed pastor, but we're talking about like taking a time on an afternoon and really just thinking through, praying through, laying down at the, at God's feet. Who do you want me to reach? Who do you want me to?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
even look at like, who are the last 2 or 3 people who walked in my door, who didn't know Christ,
Yeah.
and what were they carrying with them, and how did the church, what drew them in?
Right.
Ask them that. Go back to the people that had just walked in your door. What drew you in, or
Yeah.
what are you looking for? And it's. I think we tend to complicate it a little bit more than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Kathy, this is so great. Thank you so much for taking the
It's
time,
great.
spending
Yeah.
time with us, talking shop, church shop, marketing shop, what all the different hats that we get to wear in our various roles. So thank you so much. That is Kathy Craig, friend of mine who ministered, and the church she ministered at was about 300 over her time in ministry. We had a great question come through, and usually I would punt this to a panelist, but as a small groups director, I wanted to go ahead and answer this question. We had somebody ask, in the age of COVID, are we doing small groups via Zoom or via in people's homes? And it's a little off topic, but I just want to address this. You got to know your context. Where I'm doing ministry in West Michigan, rates are very, very low. The weather is still really nice, so we're encouraging people to meet outside and in their in homes that safely, typically with masks. And for all other groups, we're setting them up on Zoom. We have no groups taking place on our site right now. But you'll need to make those decisions as a leadership team with your team about how to manage whether you do send people to do ministry in their homes, or if you're really just encouraging everything to be digital. One last thing before we take a 2-minute, you've got about 7 minutes to refill that coffee cup, use the restroom, write down your last little notes from this session. But we just want to say again that we covered a lot of digital marketing type things in this session. And we just want to reiterate that you never have to go through some of that stuff alone. I think my email was put up in the chat, achansky@centralholland.org. If you have questions, if you have follow-up questions, if you need help, if you need somebody to brainstorm with, reach out to me. I would love to help. I would love to support you. I would love to get you connected to somebody who could support you. When I started out as a tiny little brand new communications director, it was only the people who helped me that got me through and figuring that out. And you got 4 months till Christmas. So it's going to feel like it's forever away, but you got time to figure some of this stuff out if you get some help, if you start today. So I will look forward to seeing a bunch of emails from people who need help over the next couple of hours. So shoot me an email, achansky@centralholland.org. And now we're going to do a little bit of a sound check for our next panelist. And for those of you who had a lot of questions about what this can look like in a smaller church setting, our next panelists are really going to dig into that. We're going to start with a white piece of paper. I'm a smaller church. Where do I start? How do I do this? And I'm really excited for that. But take the time while we're doing our sound checks, go get some more coffee, use the restroom so you can dial in, get a fresh piece of paper for notes, a fresh pen, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes.